Good afternoon. I'm calling to order this meeting of the Health, Environment, and Community Engagement Committee. My name is Cam Gordon. I'm chair of the committee, and today I'm joined by council members Glidden, Andrew Johnson, and Lisa Bender. We're a quorum of the committee, so we can conduct the committee's business. The first two items on our committee involve our health and sanitation ordinance, and we'll have a public hearing for those. But before we open the public hearing, I'll say welcome to Councilmember Fry, and I'll ask Ms. Katie Lampe to come up and give us a brief presentation. We're going to take, there's actually two. One of them is a food code ordinance amendment, and the second one has to do with public swimming pool code ordinance amendments, and we're going to get a presentation on both of those, and if anybody's here to speak, we'll take the public hearing on all comments as well. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Chair Gordon and council members. My name is Katie Lampe, and I'm here to just do a really brief overview for what the revised ordinance proposals that are before you today. We're proposing doing revisions to 6 different chapters. 5 are in Title 10 of the Food Code, and 1 is in Title 11 of our Health and Sanitation ordinances. Part of the proposal today is completely repealing 3 chapters. Chapter 190 for meat and meat products, Chapter 198 for soft drink manufacture and storage, and Chapter 200 for milk and dairy products. The reason we are proposing these repeals are basically they're outdated, they're antiquated, and redundant to a lot of language that's already in state statute and rule, and they really just no longer pertain to how we regulate food right now in Minneapolis, what we do in our department. Final 3 chapters before you today are Chapter 186, which is in general, Chapter 188, Administration and Licensing, and Chapter 231, which is the Public Swimming Pool Code. And most of these changes are very minor. They're just cleaning up the language to make sure that we are in compliance with state statutes and rules, and there's no conflict between those in our ordinances. We're deleting some redundant information or redundant definitions, and we are updating some of our definitions based on some newly revised state statutes to make sure that we're in compliance with those. And then finally, we have, as part of our delegated authority, we're delegated to enforce and regulate some statutes and rules, and some of them were not properly referenced in our current ordinances. So that's kind of the final cleanup. The benefits of these ordinance revisions today, we would no longer be in conflict with current state statutes and rules. And this is part based on our delegation agreements. We are not allowed to be in conflict with state statutes and rules, and we are in the process of being reevaluated in fall of 2015. So we need to make these ordinance updates before then to make sure that our audit goes well. And then finally, like I said before, we need to make sure that all the statutes and rules that we are delegated to enforce, we properly reference and adopt into our ordinances. Are there any questions?
I don't see any questions.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
This is pretty straightforward. I will open the public hearing on these ordinance amendments just in case anybody's here to speak. I see nobody here to speak on this issue. Last call. I will then close the public hearing. And Councilmember Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to move forward the items and ordinance changes laid out in the staff RCA.
Okay. Those have been moved forward. Any discussion on those? Yes.
All right.
Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd just like to thank staff for their work on this, as well as the Mayor's Office for the Business Made Simple initiative, and to all of our local businesses as well that provided input just generally on ordinance changes. I know that this is just the tip of the iceberg or part of the ongoing efforts and work, but it really does make a difference. It really does make it easier for them to understand what rules they have to comply with, and I really appreciate the effort.
All right. Any other discussion on that? Seeing none then, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, those motions carry then. And now we'll move on to, there's actually two items left. One of them is from an addendum. Everybody should have it before you. It has to do with approving an appointment of Lisa Anderson from Ward 8 to the Minneapolis Advisory Committee on Aging for a 2-year term to expire December 31st, 2016. I'm going to treat that as a consent item. I know it's listed as discussion, and if anybody wants to discuss it, we can. But this is an additional appointment that we're adding. We did some appointments last time, and this has come through, and we're trying to get it through in a timely manner. The other item is listed as number 3 on the regular agenda, and that's a motion to set a public hearing for June 8th, 2015, to consider the subject matter of an ordinance amending Title 13, Chapter 281 of the Minneapolis Code of Ordinances relating to licenses and big business regulations. And that has to do with tobacco sales. And with that, ordinance work has been completed and it's ready for a public hearing. So I'm going to move both of those consent items. Anybody want to discuss anything further? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Those motions carry. Seeing no further business before us, we are adjourned.